Welcome back, guys, to the F1 2018 career mode, and you're going to join me here today for the Singapore Grand Prix. You might have heard me in the Italian Grand Prix say it was Russia. I completely forgot the Singapore Grand Prix exists. That one I blocked out of my memory. Who knows? Because boy, do I not like this track. I don't like this track. I think I just have a thing for not liking street circuits, and by the looks of things as well, it's going to be wet during the Grand Prix, and as we all know, I'm not exactly the best when it comes to the damp and the rain conditions. So, you know, we've got that working against us, as it were. But we come into this weekend off the back of a win at the Italian Grand Prix, 1,331 resource points. Second best team on the grid, Ferrari, bring an upgrade to the Singapore Grand Prix. We, of course, have the ultimate engine upgrade going on currently at the moment, and, of course, our chassis is looking very good. So we're looking realistically to probably build more on the aerodynamic side. We're in a sort of a conundrum period at the moment because, you know, once we get that ultimate upgrade, we are going to be surging ahead of everyone else in the engine department. I mean, we already are, but this is just going to be leaps and bounds. We could go for an ERS upgrade after practice, but I don't know. I feel like, personally, powertrain might be a bit of a waste unless we go for fuel consumption, which realistically might be the only worthwhile one. So, something I've got to think about with regards to how we're going to upgrade the car. After this weekend, this is the last sort of awful Grand Prix left for tracks that don't work for me. Let's get into quali.
It's time for us to settle down and the drivers below to get fired up. Once again, welcome to Singapore as we get ready for the green light and the start of what should be a fantastic qualifying session.
Yes, Crofty, a fantastic qualifying session. Here we go, slinging the car into the lap. After our first run, we are P16. I'm not even like the team. I myself, very much not on the pace here. Just the circuit doesn't suit my driving style. The car, for me at least, I don't think we've invested enough in regards to aero. We're half second down at the end of the first sector. So, you know, there is that, as it were. So we've just got to try and just push, keep it out of the walls and push and hope and pray that, you know, that we can get up the grid somehow, some way, and not start last, essentially. So at the end of the second sector, we are 1.3 seconds down on current provisional pole sitter. I have absolutely no idea who that is. Singapore, unfortunately, is one of those weekends where, apologies if I'm a little bit disconnected with it, but I just want to get it over and done with as soon as possible. As you see me wrestling the car through that far chicane, then through, of course, you know, under the bridge there, as it were. But no, Singapore, I don't really like to spend a lot of time on it because I don't enjoy racing it. But our delta is 6.5 tenths up, so we're going to come round the final couple of corners across the line. That was a bit glitchy. Apparently it was pole position and the fastest lap, but we are definitely P13. Let's get into the race.
As the sun sets over the South China Sea, the sport that never sleeps is alert and raring to go. Welcome, under the bright lights of the Marina Bay circuit, to another Singapore Grand Prix. It's a very long, very physical lap, this one, and really there's not much in the way of margin for error. So we have a bit of an endurance race for you tonight. We have a high risk of a safety car here today as the abundance of tight corners mixed with these wet conditions could put a few cars off into the barriers. 23 turns then, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, make up the 3.1-mile lap of Marina Bay. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the captain. No grid penalties, no mitigating circumstances, just a poor qualifying performance and a very disappointing start position for them today.
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Raikkonen, Sergio Perez and Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Sainz, Bottas and Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Magnussen, Brendan Hartley and Grosjean, Van Dorn, Sirotkin, Charles Leclerc and the captain, Stroll, and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
P18 it is for the Singapore Grand Prix. We're going to take a bit of fuel out of the car because we're going to be in the wet for about half the Grand Prix, apparently. You know, it's just one of those occasions where we're going to have to see sort of how this goes. I've had to obviously tweak the setup going into the race, ran a bit more downforce than maybe I wanted to, considering that it is, of course, a wet Grand Prix and a wet start to the race. So hopefully at the start we'll be able to make up some positions and then maybe pay for it later in the race. Who knows, as we have the lights. 5 are on for the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Lights are out and away we go at Singapore. So initially, response-wise on the start, didn't look too bad, and then, of course, we have slowed down. We're going to lunge it down the inside at the crawling pace of everyone in Turn 1. However, we're already up to P13, and we're up the inside here of our old mate, Kevin Magnussen. Just try and keep it nice and controlled on acceleration, and we're up into P12 already. Good start, just trying to keep our nose clean and out of trouble as we have to fight the car as we're trying to sort of learn where the grip is, as it were, considering the conditions and the setup, as Gasly and Alonso go side by side for P10 into the left-hander at the start of the second sector, and we're just getting out of shape. We were considering, or I was thinking about making a move maybe into this next right-hand, but Gasly and Alonso still going side by side. The pair of them, the wily old veteran of Alonso and the young gun Pierre Gasly, battling away. I think Alonso has finally got the best of that. Gasly now on the inside. Can we try and make a move to the outside of the next corner? The old Singapore sling. We have actually made a move to the outside. We have to utilise the track and a little bit more, but we do get the position made and gain a place up into 11th. And look at that already. We're on the fringe of the points. But unfortunately, come the end of lap 2, Vettel setting the pace with he's in the 55s. You know, it's a long circuit here, and of course it is in the wet, so it's not exactly going to be very quick. Alonso is disappearing into the distance already. And we're going to come across the line, and we are in the 157, so we are 2 seconds off the pace of the leaders, and I don't think that's going to be improving anytime soon. As we just, that was similar to for anyone obviously has watched like actual Formula 1, like the Massa's move when he was trying to get past someone across the bridge in this circuit, where he had to sort of control a bunch of oversteer before getting it slowed down. So personal best 57.5 at the end of lap 5, and you can see the rain's actually stopped. Track is still a little bit damp. Obviously, as you can see, we are fighting the car rather than driving it. I think the car is more driving us than we are driving the car. But the rears are burning up a little bit in temperature and in wear. And I'm just trying to keep the car out of the barrier at this point and just go on, try and keep things under control until we establish when the dry weather is coming. But it's a very tail-happy Force India here. This afternoon, Vettel a 55.3, so of course as it dries up, the pace is going to get a little bit quicker. Of course that is going to coincide with the wear of the intermediate tyres, and is that going to improve lap times? But then, you know, when is the crossover point? That's what we need to establish, and that's what I'm going to try and establish now.
No rain expected. No rain expected for the time being. Not sure whether dries or inters are faster. We're right on the crossover.
So even our team can't really give us the update, so we're...
The track is drying. Let us know when it's time for slicks.
So we're in the dark, and it's being left down to us at the moment, realistically. So we've just got to keep going, and I'm making the executive decision, and it looks as if everyone is at the end of lap 8, is making the executive decision to come in for some dry weather tyres. So anyone who's staying out for this next lap, hopefully we will jump them if they were ahead of us, and if they were behind us, then who knows. But obviously Perez came in this lap, and it's meant that I've, of course, had to sacrifice a couple of seconds. That's not helped me at all, because it was a 3.8 in the box, and of course cars are going to have got ahead of us. Haas double stacking even worse there though. So I don't think we've had it too bad. Alonso's still the car ahead of us up the road, and Pierre Gasly, Alonso was on the Ultras, we're on the Ultras. Pierre Gasly has gone for the soft tyre, so Gasly immediately thinking, I'm going to go to the end of the race here. So interesting play by Pierre, as we were going to try and obviously establish what the car is like on the drier weather tyres. First feeling in the first couple of corners, not brilliant, but we've just got to get the tyres up to temperature. As you can see, just the understeer, the boatloads of understeer, as our front tyres haven't heated up yet. Coming on now, lap 10, it is looking a bit better. We're up to P11. Hulkenberg is actually retiring by the looks of things, moving very slow. Don't know if he's got a puncture or wing damage. Vettel will set the fastest lap. But we now are up into P10. And we're in a points paying position. We're on the ultra soft. We've pulled away from Gasly as our tyres are way softer than his. Sainz is P9 on the soft tyre. So while he's going to the end of the Grand Prix, he could be susceptible at this stage of the Grand Prix. And by the end of lap 11, we're coming around the final corner, doing a 43.6. We're really getting into our groove. And we've closed the gap to Sainz up to 2.1 seconds. So the car was working better in the race conditions on the ultra soft. So we've built the gap to Gasly to nearly 10 seconds at this point here. But I think all in all, this is going to be as close as we're getting. 1.8 seconds. Vettel down to the 41s now. So that sort of shattered any illusion that I was, vaguely as quick as the Ferraris. I'm sure Perez is loving life up the front of the field. Myself personally, though, not so much back here. But I'm pushing the car for all it is worth, and we are closing up to Perez. We're now personal best 42.4 within a second of the Renault drivers. Can we think about when and where we're going to make a move on it as we close up through the first couple of corners? Idealistically, we're going to want to get the run out of turn 4 here. So we will essentially going to want to swing in and get on the power early and use DRS and our superior engine to try and get him into the 90-degree left-hander at the end of this straight. Are we going to be able to close up to Sainz? Now we've only started gaining on him near the end of the straight. So that's where we're going to make the move as and when we can. We've essentially just got to spend the rest of the lap here. Following him is Nico Hülkenberg, who is way down the field. We saw him cruising earlier on. He's in the 1 minute 40s. And Perez now dips to be the first man under 1 minute 40. And we've actually lost touch with Sainz over the course of that lap. But by the end of it, we are still behind him. Personal best, 41 flat. Burning fuel on high ERS now compared to the medium that we were on before. And using all the track and a little bit more. Unfortunately, that's cost us on the exit, though. Tyres-wise, we're still not looking too bad, realistically, considering we've been pushing them very hard since we got onto them. But it's going to mean we're not going to be able to pass Sainz. And we now jump on a few laps later while Jeff is rabbiting on in our ear hole, so apologies. But we've burnt up the tyres a little bit too quickly, and we've now dropped to 4 seconds back from Carlos Sainz. So we pushed and pushed early on to try and get past him, but I think we've cooked the tyres a little bit. We've built a gap to the guys behind, but Gasly now has got past Sorokin, who was running in 11th. Hamilton now coming in 10 laps after, so he's swapping from the ultra softs. We've been offered to come into the pits at the end of lap 20 for a second set of ultra soft tyres, but track position wise, we're up in P9, and we started 19th. So I was thinking we push this stint a little bit further. We pit and do, like the old school splash and dashes that they used to do if they didn't have enough fuel to get to the end, where you just push the car at the end. We'll jump on in the final 5 laps for a set of hyper softs to go to the end of the race. But we're now up into P7. We have track position now over Bottas, Alonso, and Pierre Gasly there, who is closing the gap on us. So like I've said, in the later stages of the race, Pierre Gasly is utilising his tyres much better. Hamilton has got past him up into P8 now, but Gasly can go to the end. Hamilton on the fresh ultra soft can go to the end. Looking at the tyre wear, the only concern tyre I have at the moment is that front right at 45%. We've gone on these tyres now 12 laps. And yeah, what can we do? Of course, the front right tyre is the one that's going to get very hot, very damaged. And you can see what lap 22, Hamilton on those fresh ultra softs in, I would say a quicker car. The Force India is a better car, but Hamilton, of course, just the better driver around this circuit, unfortunately. And my tyres are a little bit dead in comparison to his. We're going to squeeze him, and we're going to show that we want to put resilience up against the Mercedes driver as we hold it around the outside of the Singapore sling and then use oversteer realistically to make sure he can't pass us as we now come across the bridge into the hairpin now. Just get it around. We've had to go wide on exit. That's cost us on traction. Lewis Hamilton now is going to try and attack us on the outside. We've bumped up to rich and high to try and defend. We're going to try and squeeze him, and I think we've squeezed him a little bit too much. Hamilton out of the corner there has fallen back. Bottas takes position, although yellow flag's now behind. What has happened? VSC deployed. What's happened there? There's both Mercedes dots and the Toro Rosso, I would imagine, all stationary. Are they all out of the race? I think I might have caused a very accidental chain of events there. I squeezed Hamilton into the wall.
They are out of the race.
As Leclerc is retired. We squeezed Hamilton. I don't know if I actually squeezed him into the wall. I'm going to need to see a replay. Bottas confirmed out the Grand Prix. Hamilton confirmed out the Grand Prix. Both Mercedes and Gasly out of the race. That's not going to look very good on... that's not going to look very good on the drawing board, as it were. So let's take a look at a replay here. Hamilton's round the outside of me. We're defending on the inside. And we've squeezed, and Hamilton tried to hold the position. He's gone into the wall. So they're still both in the race, but it's Bottas! Bottas has clipped the wall into Hamilton, and then they've ricocheted off each other, and that's cost Pierre Gasly the position. So let's look at this now from a Bottas perspective. So you see, obviously, the defensive move. Hamilton minus his front wing carries on. Bottas tries to pass him on the outside, and it's a bit of wall that's stuck out. Takes his suspension off. He hits Hamilton. Hamilton then comes across the track and assassinates Pierre Gasly. Alonso is lucky to still be in this race. So let's hear from Hamilton on board. So we squeeze him. He could have backed out of the move. He's literally just tapped his front wing. For him to lose his whole front wing there is ridiculous. And then it's just, yeah, there was no room between Bottas and the wall. There's Gasly getting taken out. His suspension is off. And it was Bottas, as that bit of wall stuck out, he's squeezed, obviously, nowhere to go between him and Hamilton. So that's obviously ricocheted his car into Hamilton, broken his suspension. Here we're going to see it on board. As the wall, yep, there it is. As the wall changes, and then Gasly is going to strike Hamilton. Alonso somehow avoids disaster. Let's see this on board from Pierre Gasly's perspective. So he's actually going to see the accident happen from back here, avoid all of Hamilton's debris, and realistically, he had nowhere to go. He could either go right to the gap, which he did, or go left and go into both Mercedes. So unfortunate for Pierre Gasly. Obviously, Hamilton... So Jeff just let me know about the tyres. I don't know if you noticed, I'm now lap 24 and I'm on the same set of ultra soft tyres trying to fend off Fernando Alonso. I've decided at this point, due to track position, I am best off just going to the end of the Grand Prix. I've braked very early to try and hold the position against Alonso, and it kind of worked. We got very argy-bargy. So Alonso is the inside. I'm trying to hold it around the outside off the hairpin. That is going to turn to the inside this next left-hander. I've just got absolutely no grip left on my tyres. Alonso's going to try and come past me here on the outside. We're going to have to try and hold it once again. Again, just braking early to try and keep control of the car. And Alonso just outdrives me, quite frankly. He's got through, back up into 7th place there. Credit to the guy. He's just avoided a huge collision, and he's very cleanly got past me there. But, yeah, we initially caused Hamilton to lose a bit of his front wing. It was actually Bottas who caused the collision. And now, 6 laps from home, you can see that front right tyre now at 63%. So, you can see why our traction at the moment isn't great, but we're currently P8. Brendan Hartley, 9th place, the only Toro Rosso still in the race, still on that one-stop strategy. He's probably gone straight from the inters to the softs, much like Gasly did. He's been closing me down at a vast rate of notch. You can see it's only a few laps later, and Alonso is 14 seconds up the road. But our front right ultra soft now at 72%. I'm sort of trying to do what, you know, all F1 teams do, which is stretch the tyres way too far, and I'm moving at a crawl at this place. I'm Antonio Giovinazzi. From the Australian Grand Prix as we come on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. We're going to ride on board for the whole thing. In 3 laps, we've lost 10 seconds to Alonso. That is how slow we are moving. We've actually got Brendan Hartley in 9th, and I believe both Haas cars behind him for 10th and 11th. And our front right tyre is about to enter puncture territory. When it gets to 80%, that's when it could go any minute. So I realistically now am relying on the absolute behemoth of an engine in the back of this thing to keep me 8th place. Hartley screams past me on the outside. We're going to have to try desperately down the inside. We hold it in position. Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull has won the Singapore Grand Prix. An absolute mental race from our perspective. Don't know about how Ricciardo's afternoon has gone, but we've kept the place versus Hartley. This is another place where he might be able to get me. He hasn't been able to pull alongside, though. This is where Alonso so expertly got me, and now that front right tyre is in 80%, and now I need to be worried. Now, under any braking, that tyre could go, so we try and keep the car, slow it down. We're going to wait till we're in the straight line to plant the power, because this is obviously where we had our incident 10 laps ago with Lewis Hamilton. Hartley can't make a move into the final sector, the right-hander. And now there's no real major overtaking opportunities in the final sector, so I'm just going to have to try and bring it home, just keep the car in one piece, nearly putting it into the wall there. And I think we're going to be the next car to cross the line. So I've learnt, taking tyres this far, not very good, because of course the car was very tail happy earlier in the Grand Prix, and I've had to try and make a set of ultra soft tyres last 22 laps around Singapore. While we've done it, we're going to bring ourselves home in 8th place. It's however, a very controversial 8th place.
Bad luck. It just wasn't our day today.
And now it's time to wind down and celebrate after that fantastic Grand Prix. Here they come, your top 3, out onto the podium.
So you saw from the podium there, Daniel Ricciardo has won the Singapore Grand Prix, 3.1 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez, who brought it home in third, with Max Verstappen there. While his best time was way off the other guys, brought it home in third place. He's pulled off the one stop, whereas the other guys pulled off the two. Raikkonen fourth. Sainz with an excellent P5 there. He eventually finished over 40 seconds up the road from me, going to show that we were nose to tail at one point. Then Sebastian Vettel dropped down to 6th. His championship hopes apparently on the brink, and it's Perez now bringing that in 4th. Alonso a gutsy 7th, even on a 2-stop for the McLaren. We just somehow hung on from 18th to 8th, with Hartley and Magnussen getting the final points. Hulkenberg 4 pit stops in the end, down in 14th place. Lance Stroll the last of the qualified finishers, with Gasly, Bottas, Hamilton and Leclerc all out of the Grand Prix. An absolute crazy race at Singapore. What does that mean for the driver's standings? Well, what it means is Vettel now goes to 28 points ahead of us there, 238 to our 210. Perez is the third man to cross the 200-point barrier, and he is now only 9 points behind us in the driver's standings. If he carries on the way he's going, he could take the fight both to me and also Sebastian Vettel. From a constructor standings, though, Force India, 2 points now behind Scuderia Ferrari. So either Raikkonen needs to step up his game, or me and Perez will overwhelm Ferrari and become number 1 in the constructors' standings. Let's catch up with Claire.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you?
Probably questionably. Don't know how I made the tyres last. I'm just going to say it's down to the aero.
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
Yes. Just yes.
Well, thanks anyway.
Don't get moody with me. Did you see that race? Unbelievable. Anyway, we move in now to the laptop, and we have a bit of a conundrum in regards to what I want to do. We have 1,685 resource points. Just looking at what we're doing. So we have a rear downforce upgrade that I've already purchased, and that's going to be on the car. That's only a minor upgrade, but it will then open up another major upgrade. And then we're looking at weight distribution upgrade. Or we could actually start going into the braking on the chassis. We have the second best chassis on the grid, just behind Ferrari at the moment. And obviously I like to brake late and make some aggressive overtakes, as you guys will have seen. Especially with some of the defending that I've had to do in that Grand Prix. Of course, we have the tyre wear upgrades as well. Could go into some major or ultimate ones there. But I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm sort of thinking about the winter, thinking about the future, thinking about like a massive package to come into the car at the close of the season, should it come down to the death. But that has been the Singapore Grand Prix. Not the best one for me. Obviously, we climbed from 18th to 8th, which was good. Controversial means that we've been able to do that. So what does that mean for the future of us? Of course, the Mercedes rookie. You know, some will say we started the chain of events. Sure, it was Bottas that caused the crash with the Mercedes, but some could say it was us that started that chain of events that led to both cars being out of the Singapore Grand Prix. What is that going to mean for our standing with the team? I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you have, please leave a like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. And of course, comment any feedback. They are very, very much appreciated. Next time, right, guys, hear me out here. Next time out, we do indeed actually have the Russian Grand Prix. I don't think I'm lying this time when I say that. So we will go to Russia, which is personally a better track for me. It is kind of street circuit-ish, but it's a bit more open than Singapore. And I tend to do a little bit better there So, you know, lots of heavy power segments, which should do well with myself in the old Force India. But that's it for next time out. What is that going to mean for the rest of our championship? Can we get back on top? Perez is hunting us down. We need to swing momentum back in our favour. Of course, what can Vettel do with his now 28-point lead? He still has that, you know, one race win in his pocket. Those questions will all be answered next time.